I want to do this little fun skit at the beginning, but it kind of has a bit of minor spoilers, so I guess we cue the spoiler warning now. Man, have you seen the back of the box for Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle 2? You know, the game they showed at the beginning of this movie? It says there, Bugs Bunny is back in the palm of your hand, and here's What's Up, Doc? Trademark. Nasty Witch Hazel, trademark. Has napped Honey Bunny, trademark. From a party in the castle and locked her away. I mean, I get that they trademarked the characters in that description, but they trademarked as well the catchphrase, What's Up, Doc? I didn't know you can do that. Ready for liftoff, super ding, rocket. Get ready for it. Hey guys and gals, it's me, Super Rocket, and I'm just warming up here because it's gonna be a nice big review for this movie. So, you know what? Let's start off small by just talking about maybe something like the presentation before we go into the more meaty stuff like the story and stuff. So I really like what they did with the presentation in this film, especially when it comes to the 2D animation, because they managed to add some nice shading effects to make it more grander than it actually is. So it makes it very beautiful to see. So yeah, who says 2D animation doesn't belong in a big screen anymore? I mean, seriously, who said that? I'm genuinely curious if anybody actually said that out loud. I also really like how they managed to translate LeBron James into cartoon form. It makes me wonder how I would look like if I got translated into cartoon form. Well, you're in luck. I can help you with that. Oh wait, what? Challenging Charles, what are you doing here? What are you doing? Ah! Okay, I'm guessing I'm like this for a while then. So yeah, might as well continue the review before things get even more loonier. So yeah, but besides the 2D animation, I do really like how the live action scenes and of course the CG look. They look very colorful and vibrant. Of course, the original Space Jam was technically a, mind the pun there, a technical marvel. But yeah, that's definitely not going to be the case in this movie, especially since, you know, there's nothing here that you haven't seen before in terms of special effects, but at least they managed to capture it, the visual treat style that the original Space Jam had. So at least it has that going for it, which is great. Oh, I guess we're back to normal then. So let's continue on with the more meaty stuff I mentioned earlier, which of course is the story. Of course, this movie knows that they cannot really implement, you know, regular basketball rules with the Looney Tunes since, you know, they're very wacky. So they decided to make it a basketball video game instead, which I think is a pretty cool idea, and they managed to use this as a part of the, you know, the main plot of the film. Of course, the main plot involves LeBron James' son, Dom, wanting to pursue a more video game making career, but of course LeBron wants him to pursue, you know, basketball like, you know, himself. And this kind of leads into the main conflict of the film. And I think the Looney Tunes work well with this scenario because later on when LeBron James has to play with the Looney Tunes, and of course they're nothing like LeBron, this made him realize later on in the match that, you know, not everybody can be like him, especially his son, Dom. So it kind of works really well here. They were able to find a way to mix a big basketball star with the Looney Tunes and make an actual film out of it. It's a movie. It's an actual movie, guys. It's a movie. Lena, it's a movie. Yeah, it's a movie. Yeah. Rock about movie on the treetop. Something, I cannot think of a pun. Of course, there are some flaws with this movie that really packs a punch and makes a big dent in the movie, such as LeBron James acting. To be honest, it's not that awful for, you know, an athlete, but yeah, it is kind of feel like it needs a lot more work because in some of the emotional scenes, it doesn't really pull my heartstrings completely thanks to LeBron James acting. It doesn't even have to be related to lines because there are some parts of the movie that kind of feels jarring with LeBron James acting. I'm not sure if some of this is intentional, but there's stuff like, you know, the Snake Goon Squad member slamming the basketball down many times to, you know, LeBron James' face, and all he does is like, I'm not sure if that's just intentional or make it a lot more funny than it has to be. But I don't know, there are some parts that kind of feel jarring because of LeBron James acting. Another flaw that I have encountered in this film is actually the second act of this film, because I kind of feel like it could have been longer and maybe they could have just like shortened the first act for that, because I don't know, it kind of goes way too fast with LeBron James and Bugs Bunny reuniting the Looney Tunes, especially with Lola Bunny, because of course that had a little small story of Lola not wanting to come back, and then at the end she decides to come back. That kind of went way too quickly and a bit too frantic, so maybe they could have given more time for that. Also, it's kind of weird that the Wonder Woman world is kind of separate from the DC world. I mean, maybe it kind of symbolizes that Lola Bunny is kind of becoming separate from the Looney Tunes at that time because she had her time on her own in the Amazons. Or maybe the studio didn't have the budget for the actual DCU and bringing in Gal Gadot and the rest of the gang to the film, so maybe that's the case, but oh well. At least we have the Wonder Woman theme, which is awesome. I love music reference, so that's pretty cool. Man, that just made me realize how loony my life is. So if you're wondering what I think of Lola Bunny in this film, she kind of has a similar role to play like in the first film, where she's the strongest basketball player of the Looney Tunes, and it does still work well in this context, just as the first movie. But I do feel like it would be fun to see a more loonier personality with her in this film, something similar to maybe like the Looney Tunes show. Yeah, that would have been fun. You didn't need Zendaya for your famous female celebrity for your film. I'm sure Kristen Wiig will do just fine for this. Of course, the Looney Tunes kind of had a bit of a mini side story of their own in this film. Of course, at the beginning of the film, we found out that Bugs Bunny is the only one in the Toons world. Everybody just moved on with different lives in the different movies, of course. But of course, Bugs Bunny kind of misses them and kind of uses this whole big basketball game as an excuse to bring them all back. And of course, made them realize who they truly are. So yeah, they didn't really tackle it that much in the film. It was kind of like a very, very small little story, which it's a bit of a blink and you miss it. And it would have been fun to see it more in action, but I am fine with it. It's a nice, fun little mini story, and I'm okay with them focusing more on the LeBron James and his son storyline for this. But overall, I kind of feel like, in my eyes at least, that this is the better Space Jam movie. I mean, of course, again, it already has a story, so it's already one step ahead of it, of course, but there are a lot of scenes that parallel the original and make a lot more sense in this new one, like of course the beginning with them showing the basketball player in his youth, and they kind of made the one in this movie a lot more meaningful to the plot than in the first film. So yeah, they did really try to improve stuff from the first Space Jam in this one, which I'm really happy with, at least in my opinion. Of course, there'll still be people who will still love the original Space Jam more than this, and I completely understand that. Sometimes movies that you watch in your youth can feel like they cannot be topped at all, regardless of what's going on in the sequel. So yeah, as long as you don't clash legacies together, we'll be okay, just as this movie taught us in a way. So until then, guys, rock it on. Trademark. Of course, a lot of people found it jarring that Porky Pig rapped in this movie, but man, did you hear the entire Space Jam soundtrack for the '96 film? I mean, seriously, did you hear of the track Buggin'?